champion select for our first game of the Grand Finals.
Absolutely. Already the bans coming out thick and fast. LeBlanc, Irelia, Syndra, and also Kale. So Reason Gaming, they're like, okay, we don't want to play against Alex's Kale, and we certainly don't want to have to deal with Syndra.
These are straight up targeted bans right here, and that will be followed by LeBlanc and Irelia coming through from NIP as their first two bans.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, the Kale bans is, a lot of people would imagine that that's going to be banning out of Power of Evil, but we saw Alex on Kale earlier. They allowed the Jax to be picked up by their opponents in the semi-finals of N Faculty, and then just picked Kale in response. Now that is a big champion to be let through for Power of Evil. We haven't seen him on Kassadin here yet at DreamHack. This will be his first game.
I like it though, because I did mention this in the player card. Take Fun's Kassadin was very, very scary, so they're picking that against him as well.
So Jax and Yasha were the last two bans to finish off that list, but now the hover over is on Braum, and also it's going to be on Lee Sin, and that'll be taken away not only from Ku, but we saw how strong Kickers was with a game-winning play with the kick onto Kale at the end of the last game. Was incredible to see. It was the first game of that best of 3 we watched, but Braum as well brought into the mix.
Yeah, we've seen how good Voidal is on Braum. Deficio tweeted out, when will people learn not to give NIP Braum anymore? And you can see Reason coming in with a game plan. If Braum is open, we'll give them a strong champion and then take Braum away. You can see Lucian was available as well, so that bottom lane pairing was, strong bottom lane pairing was still available. Has been taken away by Reason Gaming, and that's 2 power picks that we've seen all weekend long now not available for the Ninjas in Pyjamas.
Yeah, so now it's going to be over to the remainder of Ninjas in Pyjamas. The hovering evolution, as you mentioned, they haven't locked that in just yet. Twitch is available as well, something to take note of, but who are they going to go for? Okay, there we go. Twitch and Thresh, pretty much what you'd expect against Brawl.
Yeah, indeed, and we've seen Freeze on Twitch again and again. We know Voidal is comfortable on Thresh from the time he spent in the LCS playing Thresh very well. We've seen it here at DreamHack as well, so that is some pretty comfortable champions here for Ninjas in Pyjamas, even under the pressure of having a few taken away.
Indeed, so let's see how the response is from Reason Gaming. They are currently hovering over Lulu, looking towards the Lucian as well, which will be locked in. Of course, Lucian and Twitch, we've seen that all over the weekend. Nothing new in there, but the Lulu as well will be still 30 seconds to go, and they haven't quite locked in, so they still have some room to maneuver if they do want to pull something else out of the bag here. And indeed they will go for Orianna.
Yeah, that's one of the safer picks they could have made here. Orianna always is going to be a consistent laner, always able to farm very well. And it's just going to make it a little bit difficult for Kassadin in the early game. However, we all know Kassadin scales oh so well into the late game, and that really is going to be one of the areas where Ninjas in Pyjamas are going to have a lot of potency here with this Kassadin Twitch combo already.
We have been seeing a lot of Alex playing Shyvana as well at the top lane. It's normally been against Irelia, so without Irelia being available due to it being banned out, it could very well be the Lulu at top, which is going to be very difficult to deal with. It's very harassment-centric. And on top of that as well, potentially Evelyn running through the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, the Lulu fits Alex's playstyle right down to a T. We know he's mastered Jax and Shyvana. We've seen that. We've also seen the Kale and the Lulu come out from him all weekend long. We know he's been playing them in mid for so very long. So just consistent picks across the board for both teams right now.
Yeah, so they have locked those in. They did bring out the Evelyn and indeed the Lulu. So now we just have one more pick remaining in the champion select, this time from Reason Gaming. So we have Take Fun on Orianna, of course. That will probably be staying there, no swap-ups. Again, in the jungle, we'll have Kickers, and we have the bot lane secured, no doubt. So we are looking towards the top lane, potentially. We may even see a top lane Lee Sin, but for what we've seen in this tournament and the strength of Kickers, yeah,
this was something that I was kind of maybe thinking about, was that it wouldn't be the most commonly seen top laners in current meta, because Lulu does so well. She's one of the champions that, against the run-of-the-mill top laners right now, actually does pretty well, whereas something with a lot more sustain, like Dr. Mundo at level 6, they both have these ultimates that allow them to stay alive in the lane. Mundo also will have the passive regeneration and be able to throw out cleavers, so can do a little bit of harass and fight a little bit better in the laning phase. Now, if they were to go for the lane swap, we've also seen Voidal handle the lane swap very well when he joined Alex up for a 2 lane up in the top side of the map.
Yeah, and Mundo's actually a really interesting pick that we did see a lot of up until quite recently. Always seemed to be Trundle and Mundo on the top lane, so It's quite interesting how Kubon does run with this one. He's maybe taking teleport along with Alex Ich, so lots of... Oh, hold on a second. Oh, they keep switching over.
Musical chairs.
This is catching me off. Now, we know Alex. He is, well, or he used to be a main mid. We know he can play Kassadin. We know he's terrifying on that champion. It can also be playing top.
Yeah, that is a possibility. I'm expecting another swap just for consistency's sake, but that would kind of maybe tell me that NIP are looking for a different lane setup than standard, if that was the case.
Yeah, indeed, and, well, didn't see the very end of that, so it may well indeed be Alex Ich on that Kassadin. Maybe they'll throw him into mid lane again, but that would be a giant curveball coming into this.
It is indeed Alex staying on Kassadin. So, do we have the treat of seeing a rare mid lane appearance of Alex Ich, or is he going to show us Kassadin top? He has run the teleport, which is a pretty important note on that, which, you know, in the middle lane was picked up by players like Xpeke, who, you know, from Fnatic would use that map control to his advantage, because although Kassadin has great mobility as it is, having a teleport means you can do those Katowice backdoors that we saw out of Xpeke and, you know, just affect a lot of the dragon control of the game.
Yeah, so a lot of this is going to boil down to the laning phase. If Alex Ich is going to remain in the top lane with the Kassadin, then how's that going to fare? That is the big question for the first couple minutes of the game. And the other big question is, are we going to see any early aggression? But we are now getting right onto the Rift.
Alrighty, ladies and gents, let's test those vocal cords once again. I am curious as to how many fans we have in the house this evening. If you want to see Reason Gaming pick up this first game, let us hear you. Okay, fair enough. I think this might be quite a stacked crowd, so let's try the foot on the other shoe. If you want to see Ninjas in Pyjamas take the 1-0 lead, make some noise.
I think we're right on that statement, right on the money.
Pretty stacked.
Indeed, and we are going to see a more conservative start for the first couple seconds at least. I'm not going to call the minutes because we could have a late invade coming out, which we've seen several times, but pan down to the bottom lane and you see the 3-man stack from Reason Gaming. Libic just throwing down the shield. It's a heavy weight to have on your shoulders for a long time, but Freeze is sitting in the tri-bush, so he may be caught out, but maybe they're trying to get that sneaky first blood.
That would potentially be the case. Now, if it did go into an all-out war here, Stress, level 1, where would you come down on that one?
You can never underestimate Thresh at level 1. The hook is such a good catch tool to play on both the defensive and the offensive side. So although Braum does have that capability of locking you down at level 1, Thresh is far more of an instant hit when it comes to you know, an open field level 1. However, you know, Braum, you have to stack up those concussive stacks and to actually get the stun there.
Yeah, and we're seeing a sprinkling of wards over the map, but we're not seeing any early aggression or any early pushes or, hell, any even aggressive wards. So we're going to play it as safe as possible, as conservative as you can, getting into the finals. And that's important. You don't want to be giving away an early lead into this series.
Well, let's have a look how things come down. Mundo's going to be in a 1v2. Of course, that's going to leave Alex's Kassadin also in a 1v2. We were wondering if we're going to see the mid there. Stress doesn't appear to be the case. There's going to be Power of Evil running in mid. It does have an Ignite as well.
Yeah, that's something that is a little bit uncharacteristic there, perhaps. Is normally in those lanes you see a lot more of the defensive abilities there. So we'll watch how that goes on.
We will indeed. So, Alex Ich on that Kassadin, and he's actually picked up the Duran's Blade to start things off, and that's a very interesting pickup. So, how is that going to fare? So now, Coop, he's in the jungle, he's just farming away.
You know, I think I saw a Reddit thread actually earlier on where Seraph, like we don't have a lot of time in the day to browse Reddit and that kind of thing. I think there was a VOD from maybe Seraph's stream or something of him actually picking up Doran's Blade on Kassadin. It sounded accidental, but kind of a quirky thing that we're actually seeing this game out of Alex Ich of all people. So if it does work, we'll see it here.
Yeah, hey, maybe it wasn't a mistake, maybe it was intentional, and this couldn't have been a misclick as well, right? You know, lightning doesn't strike twice. So Alex Ich with the Duran's Blade, we'll see how it works out for him. So far, we're seeing the buddy system through the jungle. That is the biggest thing that we're seeing in the early game so far. Mid lane is kind of more tense, kind of more neutral than anything. They're very good at staying at range, not taking too much damage.
It's going to be 4 players very shortly pushing the top lane, though, and it could very well turn into the same situation at bottom, although having said that, you can currently see that Lee Sin and Mundo are moving their way towards mid, so no one's really playing their hand just yet.
But that is Ku in the opposing jungle, with the rest of his team rocking out the double buff. Kubon is also there, and he is now closing in around the side. Does he have the backup, though? Yes, he does. He has Alexich there. The hook comes across. It doesn't quite find its mark, and will get the command protect and the extra movement speed from command dissonance. So they get back to that tower.
Yep, and they should be just fine, although Kubon does have to recall here, so that's going to halter somewhat of his progression, although he does have teleport. Be quite interested to see if he uses that at the likes of top lane. All I do know is that he's moving away, so it's not going to be a teleport just yet. And he seemed caught in 2 minds there. He started to move down towards bottom, and then suddenly changed his mind and started going top instead.
Yeah, and
now mid.
Yeah, there's lots of hesitation, not quite sure what he wants to do, and we will have a pause so the tension builds even more in this game, guys.
Certainly is. And again, though, Mundo, like, I'm going to go bottom, now I'm going to go top, now I'm going to go mid, now I'm going to go bottom, and then pause. So who knows what is going on through their mind.
And you can see that's having an effect on this kind of buddy system CS count that we have here. Is both top laners right now are pretty much stuck with the junglers. Alex each only level 2 right now, so it is going to delay a little bit of that later game Kassadin, but as long as he gets those couple of kills in the early game, team fights around the dragon, around the jungle, he should be fine from that. All they need is that little bit of time after this kind of rotation phase through the jungle, and Alex should be fine off. Same with Mundo. So it's just going to delay them a little bit towards that level 6.
Indeed. So, by the way, guys, we just had some problems with Take Fun. I believe his computer may be having some issues, so we're going to try and get those resolved as soon as possible. You can see our admin team over there trying to resolve those issues as we speak. We should be able to get back in game very shortly, but going back onto that Duran's Blade pick from Kassadin, maybe they were just expecting the buddy system to happen, so he'd be able to clear some of those jungle camps out faster. It's all speculation at this point.
I mean, it's possible. I've not, to be honest, as I said, we didn't get a lot of chance to browse during the day. We had some awesome semi-finals, which, you know, those of you at DreamHack and watching on Twitch, thank you very much for joining us. We do appreciate you all coming out in force here for League of Legends. We're going to make as much noise as everybody else in this hall, so if not more, because it's been a pretty awesome competition so far. Take Fun's reconnected, so hopefully that puts us in a decent place. But this Doran's Blade certainly is a different start to what you'd normally see on a Kassadin.
Also, going back to what you just said, I'm going to give a challenge to each and every one of you in the audience. If you can be the loudest crowd here at DreamHack, I'm wondering if you can accept that one as we go through this best of 3 grand finals. We can see the unpause coming in, so we're going to be jumping back onto the Rift here in the first game.
Okay, so Voidor and his ally in the top lane will be Freeze, and they're kind of just farming at the moment. I think we're well on the way to having the most hype crowd in the arena, but however we do have Magma dashing backwards. The teleport now coming into the bot lane. Ku will walk behind the turret, and Braum is also there. They are collapsing in, and Ku, the ignite comes down, does not get the Winter's Bite. A great flash keeps him safe.
It will do just that, but it is going to make the tower pretty unsafe right now. It's just Alex underneath there, all by his lonesome, and that's going to be first blood falling to Reason Gaming.
And that's an important kill, because not only are they going to get Alex during that engagement, who is going to get pushed further and further back from his important point in the game, it's going to be likely the tower here as well. In fact, it looks like they're going to rotate out towards the Dragon, which could be a better pick here.
For sure, so they're going to head towards that. They did deal some damage to that tower, but they did run dry of minions, so instead they'll head towards the Dragon. Libic will be the one tanking the brute force of it at the moment, and that should be going down. No contest, because we did have the kill onto Alexich, and indeed the first Dragon of the game goes to Reason Gaming.
Yeah, and I actually really like that call, because if they pick up the tower there and the wave starts pushing, Alex is going to get free farm. But as it stands, he's now out in no man's land. So if that happens again and all 4 players come down, easy peasy, more kills will follow.
Yeah, why not just rinse and repeat? There's no reason why they can't just do that again. Go back to bot lane, kind of congregate around that area and set up another kill onto Alex. And if you can shut down the Kassadin early, that just is the best case scenario for your team. is one of the biggest threats you can usually have when you get to the mid-late game and team fights.
Ruby Crystal next after the Doran's Blade, so obviously he is a bit wary of more tower dives and indeed ganks as well. Wants to make sure he can survive for as long as physically possible, and that Doran's Blade at this stage is actually helping him, I should say, get more CS.
Indeed. So now in the top lane, Makler and Libic have refound their home up there in the 2 versus 2, but the support has kind of gone back to the bot lane. He was supporting for Alex Itch. So again, we're going to see Freeze in the 1 versus 2 situation. And can he survive it? Can he weather the storm? But I guess the answer at the moment is, well, he has significantly more CS, so the answer is yes.
Yeah, we've seen him in similar predicaments many, many times. We saw him actually 1v1 against Jax in the previous game today, and he held his own and then some. So I have no doubts at all that he's going to be able to make this one work for him. Plus the fact, have a look at Libic. He is, not Libic, sorry, the other way around. He is actually going to be moving in Voidal to help out his AD carry anyway.
Yes, he's just going to throw down the ward, and the ping went down from both teams, just saying that that one is there, and he'll just be there to support him, not looking for the gank, not looking for the engagement, and even against the Braum Lucian, which is pretty much the perfect matchup for a Braum with the double tap passive on top of concussive blows. That is all you could want from a lane.
But in the same respect, Thresh is the perfect support for Twitch. It's got that catch potential, the escape that Twitch doesn't have in his kit, so both of these bottom lane pairings, I'd argue, are the potential strongest pairings you can possibly have in the current meta.
And therefore, it's kind of just evened it out. So we haven't gone for the engagement yet, but they have in bottom lane. Kubon will be dropping to Ku. Alex Itch dashes forward using the Rift Walk. Can he finish off the next kill? Yes, he can. Double kill comes in for Ku.
And meanwhile at top as well, Lucian's taking quite a bit of punishment on that as well. So get behind these from Libic. And Makler is going to have to go back to spawn.
Will indeed stand behind him and go all the way back to base, so that will not only give them breathing room, but allow him to get even more farm over his opponent, which is already a pretty big goal total. 68 farm to 48, and even more farm that's just going to go his way. And hopefully this wave will be fed to the turret. Libic's going to be able to pick up some of it, but Makler is a long way off reaching the lane again.
And that's also going to accelerate Evelyn so incredibly fast that she's going to be able to be even more of a threat from the jungle and have those ganks coming out thicker and faster than before. So that's definitely something to watch out for. Kikis level 5 compared to Ku's level 7.
It is definitely back and forth so far. In the mid lane, they will be equal level. And pretty much all the summoners are up all over the board, apart from the flash from Ku. And the first blue buff, or rather the second rotation of blue buffs, will be going towards Power of Evil, no doubt. Another one will be going to Orianna on the opposing team. But Ku is also heading into the jungle. He's going to see Take Fun. He lands the shockwave as well, and get the flash and the kick. Knocks him further in, but will get a perfect wild growth to keep him alive. He will jump forward. Take Fun picks up the kill. Will Power of Evil get one in retribution? It looks like that's going to be a no. And Kickers will be jumping to their safety and lands the Winter's Bite. But, however, the Lantern will get him back to the rest of his team.
Yeah, Dark Passage coming good there for him. Alex is chugging along a bottom lane. Had a pretty scary opening, but in fairness to him, he's actually gone ahead on farm over Mundo, so he is getting there slowly but surely. Top lane, pings coming down right here. Makler taking a bit more damage, Cullen coming out, but should be just fine.
Yeah, just to clear out the minions and maybe to head back to base, or just keep applying the pressure, which is kind of what you need to do against that Twitch's Lucian. You have the small upper hand when it comes to the laning phase, plus they have the heal, and Freeze does not, so they'll have that at the back of their minds as well. But Alex Itch is a person we haven't paid too much attention to. Likewise, Coupon in the bottom lane, who is now sporting the Mundo, and they're just farming up a Storm at the moment. They were both put behind, so they're not going to be too aggressive on each other.
Yeah, Dragon up in just over 1 minute, and with both the dual lanes at top, you have to question whether that's going to be on the cards just yet.
Yeah, it may, increase the time that it's going to take for them to start going for those initial dragons. Libic takes all the damage from that duo lane, but apart from the 4 kills, there's no massive headway made by either of these teams. It is as close as you could get this game.
Yeah, super close in the grand finals of DreamHack Summer 2014. Pings are plenty at bot lane. Ku is going to be engaging onto Kikis. Kikis will be safeguarding. There's Alex flashing through the wall. He wants this kill desperately, and he's going to get it.
Okay, and they actually do not follow up, and Alex Itch will just retreat with his team.
A little bit confusing there out of Kikis. He wanted the white so much that he actually resonating striked into the white rather than safeguarding instantly over the wall. So a little bit of maybe a poor decision there out of Kikis, and it cost him his life.
So 3-2, another pick goes the way of Ninjas in Pyjamas, but at the moment it's still a drop in the ocean. It is not game-changing, but Ku, again, is assisting in all the kills in the first 11 minutes. 2-1-1. Has already picked up the Spirit of the Elder Lizard, likewise, so has Kikis. So in terms of items, they are drawing even. In the mid lane, again, they've gone for the Chalice of Harmony, also looking towards the Fiends and Holy Grail.
Oh, another pause. They want to keep this one tense. I want to keep you guessing.
That is going to be the case. So, 27 minutes remaining on the pause timer, and it's very rare we'll go all the way down, but we once had a game stress where we did go all the way down for the 30 minutes, and then we went into negative time and went back in time, and that was a strange one.
Yeah, that was a bit strange. I hope that doesn't happen on this one, but we've got a long time left on the pause timer, as you said. So that kill on to Kikis was not only sloppy because of the way he sacrificed his life for not a lot, but it was a very dangerous time with Dragon coming up. And I have to feel that if Kikis is going to continue to make that kind of decision, then NIP are going to be a kind of team that are going to exploit that very, very well. Now, both teams will know Dragon is live. It is back up on the map for them, so that's going to be the next contention point. But you can see how far some of the lanes are ahead here for Ninjas in Pyjamas. 103 CS and 10 on that Relic Shield there on Thresh as well, as opposed to the 76 and 13. So, you know, there's a lot in favor of NIP right now. Only a 500 gold lead overall, though.
Yeah, indeed. So we were working through the items and now looking towards the bot lane. Got the Vampiric Scepter picked up from Makler, but he's looking more towards the Bloodthirster, whereas the smaller components coming in from Makler is a little bit easier to pick up, the smaller daggers, so you can start accelerating towards your Blade of the Ruined King a little bit sooner. But it was interesting, you were talking to the players earlier about the usage of Ghost Blades and how that fits in with the AD carries.
Yeah, after the interview we had with Freeze, I actually spoke to him very, very briefly about, you know, why have you been going Ghostblade on every champion? He did it on Draven, he did it on Twitch, and it's one of those interesting things that it's not a common item. It used to be very melee-centric, but it, of course, ever since it kind of got a little bit of adjustment, does ranged benefits as well. So the extra attack speed and movement speed it's going to give, Freeze said as we go back live into the game, actually gives them a better pick potential, and with this composition, Twitch, Thresh, Cassidy, and Evelyn, that's what they're looking to do, so expect it here, but it's top lane where they may have kicked off. The hook lands.
Indeed, and dragged into the box as well, gets the Glacial Fissure, and will be going for this one, and all the damage is coming out. Will the true damage be enough? He gets the heal, and Libic survives.
Only just, though. And he did get that summoner popped off in the meanwhile, so that's going to allow Freeze and Voidal to start pushing the lane. And this is going to be quite a difficult one for Makler to deal with by himself, because if Libic stays around, he runs the risk of being dove from Evelyn.
And Evelyn is heading around the side. Can Ku make something happen? He's definitely looking for it, and it's only Makler left in the top lane. He is on full HP, but he's already used his heal. The flash into the play.
Yeah, going underneath the tower, Makler is going to be falling. It's actually Freeze that picks up the kill, and that's really important. Starting to accelerate the AD carry.
4-2 currently, NIP finding kills left, right and center, including the mid lane. Take Fun throws out the clockwork, winds up auto attack. The flash will be getting away from the last Q, and that will be keeping him alive.
Dragon has been started, though, here on the side of Ninjas in Pyjamas, and indeed, in fact, Reason Gaming, I should say, and in fact, they do pick it up, so will be a tower for a Dragon. Very quick reactions.
Evening up those goal totals, so 4-2 in kills, but in terms of objectives, there's one tower to Ninjas in Pyjamas, but the Dragon going the way of Reason Gaming, and there's only 1,000 goals in it, so practically nothing.
And it was Kuban alone that started that, so I'm wondering whether that's where the directive came from. Alex wasn't in lane, they saw the teleport used, so it was a pretty effective free or uncontestable Dragon at that point in time. So whether it was Kuban, whether it was Kikis that made that call, great map awareness set out of Reason Gaming.
Yeah. So, Kikis will be going into the bottom river. Also uses the sweeper at this stage in the game, starting to pick up a few more of those. And Voidal and Paraviva will be doing the same thing, clearing out some of these wards.
So very even farm right now in mid, although Orianna does have the kill advantage to take Fun slightly ahead in that respect. But with the top tower going down, Twitch and also Thresh are going to have much more capabilities of getting Evelynn involved, really punishing Braum and also Lucian. Remember, they have got no flash on Braum, there's no heal on Lucian on top of that, so if they keep overextending, watch for Evelynn to start camping.
I think the biggest difference in this game, or the biggest difference between a single lane, has got to be that, well, I want to say bot lane, but it's in fact the top lane, the duo lane coming in here. Freeze with 134 CS to 88 from Maka is a massive difference coming in here. And he's well on his way to the Bloodthirster, but you would expect him to maybe have it finished by now, where Twitch has the extra kill on top of that.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. And speaking of Twitch, heard him shouting surprise here in the mid lane. Have moved down from the top, but it's going to be a 2 versus 3 with Lee Sin, Braum and Orianna all hanging around the area. Kassadin now has finished off the Rod of Ages, so it's going to be a bit tanky, a bit more difficult to deal with. And I'll give props to Alex. He's recovered well after that, losing first blood.
So Voidal into the river. The Winter's Bite doesn't quite connect with its target. In the bot lane, again, Alexich throws out the Force Pulse and is doing some damage to Kubon, but he's reached the Sage where he's quite happy to regenerate that HP. He's already used the Sageism, which is why he's on such healthy places right now. And Power of Evil has found Livic. The Winter's Bite, again, does not find its mark. The Command Protect keeps him at range, so we've hit a more of a lull in the action here.
Yeah, we certainly have, but that's to be expected when it's the finals and, you know, Dragon's no longer available at these early time frames in the matchup. The players more happy maybe to farm. Freeze is going to do quite a chunk of damage to Livic, and he will be jumping on to take Fun. Dark Passage used. Lee Sin throwing out the Q there, not quite connecting.
Indeed, so these teams, both 4-1 throughout the tournament, extremely evenly matched when it comes to their opposition. And in the bot lane, Ku will go for the gank underneath the turret. Kubon is just slowly dying. He just needs one more attack. There it is.
Yeah, indeed, another example of great timing there. They knew Kubon didn't have the sadism for the beginning of that fight, couldn't get away, and kind of was forced onto minimal regeneration right there at the end. So a great timing out of NIP.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that tower also falling, Kassadin can now start to push towards that second tower, while you have both Power of Evil and Voidal occupying mid. Twitch is getting free farm at top, and he's now 30 CS above his counterpart of Makla. So that is going to just escalate further and further ahead, because Lucian has to pretty much stay around mid at this stage.
And the whole team is escalating further and further ahead. They pick up a kill, they pick up an objective after that in the form of turrets. And no turrets have been claimed so far by Reason Gaming. It's just been off the back of Ku, honestly, in this game. 2, 1, and 3, still 100% kill participation. He's been all over the map, making sure that the team gets through the early phases of the game.
It is going to be aggressed on once again from Ninjas in Pyjamas. Orianna has pretty nice wave clear at the moment, so we'll be able to just push out the wave and keep that tower alive for now. But there is a clump of Ninjas in Pyjama players in mid, one of which was Ku on Evelynn, now just starting to move towards top.
So we were questioning how well Alexich was going to do at the very start of the game, because he was forced to do the buddy system, so he didn't have as much available to him as he does just trade off against Kubon. But it's more harassment more than anything, and Wolf just walk away. But he's recovered very well, has a Rod of Ages, the Tear of the Goddess, and Sorcerer's Boots, 2, 1, and 2. Pretty much the start you want from the castle.
Dragon up in 1 minute 10. Not any more objectives going to fall before that though for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Look at them, even scrapping over Wraith, tooth and nail. They are not letting up on anything.
So, throughout this game, Ninjas in Pyjamas have always been the ones who have been making the plays, being the proactive ones. Reason Gaming have had to kind of wait and just let them come. They have picked up 2 kills in return, so they haven't just lied down and taken it. 2,000 gold advantage to Ninjas in Pyjamas. And it's not huge at this stage. 19 minutes into the game.
It's not, and especially when you consider they've got 2 kills, but one of them was the first blood as well. So they started off very confidently, started off very well. 25 seconds now, Dragon, plenty of pings in mid. Here comes Libic. They want to try and get this pick before the Dragon and convert it into an objective, but a nice death sentence actually stops Braum from continuing the chase.
That was pretty much the whole thing right there. That was the death sentence, saving his allies from a potential messy engagement. Bottom lane, just see Alexis dancing around Kuban. And again, no one is really going to be killing each other there, but the Dragon is just about live.
Yeah, and Alex's teleport's going to be available on this one, so we won't see any kind of sneak attempt out of Reason. So I feel like this is going to be a lot more of a brute force Dragon for whichever team wants to take it. And whether it's Tower or Dragon that falls first, it's going to be the pick that is the real catalyst to begin.
Righty, well, let's see if that is going to happen right here, right now. It appears that Oriana's actually going back to recall, so this could be the moment where Ninjas in Pyjamas just try to outmaneuver Reason Gaming. Kikis is recalling, Libic's recalling as well, and the Dragon's been started, and this is a massive miscalculation from Reason Gaming, just giving away the Dragon for free.
Yeah, it seems like a blunder, especially after they picked up the first one, so it was just like, well, I guess we'll just give it over to Ninjas in Pyjamas. They've done very well in the skirmishes, and we just don't want to face up against it. Maybe in a mistiming as well in terms of going back for items, because they did have a fair chunk of cane to spend at the shop, so they just didn't want to fight not having and utilizing all that effective gold.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. If you sat on a lot of gold, it starts to itch away at you. It starts to burn holes in your pockets, so you really want to go back and make sure you're as strong as possible for the upcoming fight. But unfortunately, in doing so, you just gift-wrapped another chunk of gold to the opposite team. You can now see the gold difference starting to open up a tiny bit more for Ninjas in Pyjamas. So, let's see what Reason Gaming can do to stop the rot.
Well, will we see any invades into the buffs? Because they have just started to spawn, and it will just be the junglers taking them. So, to be aggressing, and we're just seeing players move from lane to lane. Can see the map movements, but not really accomplishing anything as they go from place to place. Makler going one-on-one or with Alex Hitch and not getting the better of that trade, so Alex Hitch has kind of gone for a more split push strategy in this game. But Kikis is also in the top jungle, and Alex Hitch is trying to be a nuisance, but doesn't manage to get the kill onto the red buff, so that will be going over to Kikis regardless, so just staying high in the jungle.
Got about 150 charges on his tier right now, stacks I should say. So isn't that close to the likes of this House Embrace. The important part is he's building towards it right now. So again, there is a bit of urgency for Reason Gaming before Kassadin and also Twitch reach that stage where they can just pummel you.
Just carry on the split running, but in the bot lane, Makler is getting destroyed by Ku and Freeze, and they find themselves another kill, 6 and 2.
Yes, these little blunders that are starting to creep in a bit too often for Reason Gaming, and it's kind of one of the reasons why they ended up losing that first encounter between these two teams. Freeze going back in just to harass Libic, but they're going to cut their losses. They got the kill on the AD carry, they denied him some CS, they denied him some experience as well, job done.
Yeah, they do not need to go further, overextend and start giving away kills and gold, importantly to Reason Gaming. To just make sure that they keep every advantage they take. So, in the jungle, they just carry on farming, and everyone is just, not returning to lanes, going into different people's lanes, kind of like a musical lane swap at the moment.
Yeah, and that's kind of the state of the game at the moment, because, most of the towers are either dead in the outer part for Reason Gaming, or they're about to be. So they have to play this very kind of shifty game. And on top of that, NIP know this. They're trying to outmaneuver Reason Gaming. They're trying to outthink, trying to play chess and win this. Takefun's taking all the damage right now, and he will be going down from Freeze. That was a lot more damage than I think he was expecting.
Yeah, Freeze coming out of the ambush there and all the extra damage, and that's why you build the Ghost Blaze and has now activated it to take down the turret. So they pick up the kill, they pick up an objective as well. 7 and 2.
Yeah, that's the Ghost Blade catch build in action. You can see it right there. Only needed the Blade of the Ruined King for the kills, or had it still available, but he said it's a risky build, but if I get ahead, I'm going to become a monster in that game. And he's 2-0 on 1, up about 40 CS here on Makler. So Freeze is doing pretty good here in game 1 of this grand finals.
And even if you don't activate the Ghost Blade, you're still getting 30 attack damage, 15% critical strike. But here comes Power of Evil. He's been caught between a rock and a hard place, and he will be falling down to Makler. Important kill picked up for Reason Gaming.
Indeed, and that's what they needed. At least it will keep them at bay for a little while. That's what the doctor ordered. And now 5k ahead will be NIP. Not a significant advantage, probably not going to be seeing the end of the game very soon.
Absolutely not. Not unless something crazy happens. But regardless, there is definitely an advantage in NIP. No one can deny that right now. 3 towers to 0. They've been heavily favoured in terms of dragons as well. Again, Reason Gaming really dropping the ball, in my opinion, in the last dragon that came around. But now NIP outmoving once again, looking to push bot.
Well, this is definitely heating up here, matters in this game. We'll see what else they can do to hold on. Reason Gaming, they did manage to pick up that kill, but it was very close to losing a member themselves onto Livik. But what we haven't seen is anything bigger than a skirmish. We never see the 5-on-5 fights, and that's kind of a reoccurring theme of today. A lot of the times we've seen a victory happen, but no big interaction between the teams until the very end.
And we're seeing Alex attempt to push again and again, but Kubon is going to be too strong in lane. He's just going to sit there. He's very tanky, going to activate that Burning Agony in lane and make sure that all the CS ends up falling. And saying that, there is a pause, which means we get a moment to digest, get a moment to reflect on the game. And Freeze has left the Rift for now. Maybe it was starting to melt a little bit on that one.
Yeah, let's let this game simmer down a tiny bit. As NIP, they are looking to potentially push top, but I agree with what you're saying, and that is kind of part and parcel of their composition as well. Twitch is very good. I mean, his Q sums up at ambushing victims, killing them, transitioning into a free objective off that one. So in a way, going back to the point you made before, Pulse, about there's been no 10-man kind of crazy exchanges, that's kind of what NIP want, and they've played that composition down to a T.
Yeah, so there really isn't no boiling point of this game for them to go on 5-on-5. So we'll see if it works out. But it doesn't seem to be the case just yet. And we do have this pause, so it has kind of put a stop to the action so far. What do we expect to be happening from here?
Well, one thing we have to know is we've got to be a little bit careful here with players taking their headsets off. You know, not the luxury of LCS where we can be like, nobody talks. So we've got to be a little bit careful here over what we say, because we don't want to give away any game-changing information that, could potentially be happening. So, well, it's kind of, we're going to use the information that we have. And actually, that's Voidal disconnecting as well. So hopefully it's not a big issue, and we can get it fixed pretty shortly. But yeah, that Ghostblade build is really coming to fruition here. And again, Freeze said he has to be ahead with it. Certainly is ahead in this game. And I'm looking forward to seeing how it keeps going, because, I mean, Kassadin's incredibly strong in the late game. Twitch is incredibly strong in the late game. And they're ahead with both of those champions already here at 25 minutes in.
So, in the top lane as well, Mundo has not had the best of farming experiences, it has to be said, in the first 25 minutes, but has already got the Warmog's armor and indeed the Spirit's Visage under his belt. So, he still is on his way to being that tanky Mundo who can just stick to his target. But will he get to that point? That's the question. The question of this game is who will be taking it away. We're in a best of 3 in the grand finals here at the DreamHack League of Legends Championship. And it's all up for grabs. The differential between these teams is still very small. Reason Gaming can definitely come back in this one.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this is the third pause we've had, right?
Yes.
And Take Fun was the last person that disconnected. So it's like everyone's having issues.
Apparently, and Voidal also had to step out. Freeze reconnected. So it's a couple of players actually having a problem here.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Right. Voidal is back, hopefully. That means it's a good sign here. Is it only Take Fun we're missing from the game right now? Is it?
I think so. Sure. Take Fun was in pause number 2.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, I don't think he disconnected this time.
That should be everybody back in, but obviously if the problem hasn't been resolved, then they're still going to have to go ahead and fix that one. It would suggest if they're reconnecting this often that it's like a mouse or headset problem.
Yeah. Could be the peripherals.
Yeah.
Either that or, it's the bass and the crowd, because the crowd are going pretty nuts for the kills. I hope it's translating well onto the stream, but we're well on the way to being the loudest crowd here for League of Legends at DreamHack. So, grand finals time. This is right down to it. Right down to the final potential 3 games here for both teams. And, this is what it's all about. $30,000 is on the line. They've been playing. This is the third day that these teams have been playing for this grand final. So 70,000 SEK is the first place prize here, and that is what is on the line.
Yeah, ultimately that is what they're playing for. And as you said before, the 3 days have been a build-up to this point right here, right now. So far, NIP looking good. Reason Gaming, though, they're up for the challenge. There's no doubting that. They're not going to lie down. They're not going to allow NIP to run on top of them. And so far, there have been some pretty interesting decisions. Most notably for me is when Kikis went for the White Wraith instead of trying to escape beforehand. But we do have the resume coming in, so we are back onto the Rift, ladies and gents.
Okay, let's get back into the action. 7-3, as a reminder, is the scoreline with an advantage to Ninja Pyjamas. It's significant, but it's not game-ending. And 25 minutes in, there's a lot of room for Reason Gaming to come back into this, stabilize, and maybe even take the lead. Kubon in the top lane does not connect the briefcase, but one of the most interactive lanes, but nothing really sticks on Kubon, especially when he's got all that regeneration. The season being available means he's not going to be dropping in a hurry, but when there's 4 players on him, there's no way he can get away. He's just about wasting time at this stage as he runs round in circles, cuts the vision, everyone wailing away, but he is very tanky. 4 members on him and he's still not dead. Finally he drops, but that's Mundo.
He bought up enough time for potentially his team, though, to go ahead and pick up Dragon. It's live right now. No, they're going for towers instead. Shockwave in the middle. Take Fun and Freeze going at it. And Freeze comes out ahead. Can he survive? No. He tried to get his life back from the auto attack. Not quite enough.
He tried the lifesteal, the Blade of the Rune King, but it wasn't quite enough with the healing reduced as well. But in the bot lane, Reason Gaming, they do utilize the deaths of their comrades to go for the bot tower, so they do at least get something on the board. 2 and 3, and that was an inner turret as well, so now it seems a little bit easier to get the mid and top with that added map control, and now they go for the Dragon.
They are going for it. They do have quite nice clear as well, with Lucian at the back, but here comes Q taking point. Beautiful Glacial Fissure actually going through, and the box as well. And here goes Kikis on the front line. He should be falling down courtesy of Q. Safeguards back, there we go, finally will fall. And now Makla's getting pushed left, right and center. He's like a pinball and he finally goes down the gutter. Double kill coming in as well for Ninjas in Pyjamas, looking to pick up the pieces, but we've already seen that Kubon tank forever and a day. Look at him, he's absorbing so much damage. When will he finally bite the dust? He's not going to. Oh my god, Mr. Superman himself just strolls on away.
And it's the Warmog's build that he's gone for here. Not a lot of reason to build armor because of the fact that it's Lulu captain in, but Take Fun's caught out.
And he just gets exploded by the Stealth Bomber and Freeze. He uses all his item cooldowns and the extra damage and attack speed from Ambush, and Freeze detonates his target.
Yeah, that is going to be a real pain in the backside for Reason Gaming. I'm still kind of at a loss for words as to how long Mundo survives for.
He's so tanky right now. As I said, no reason to really build armor right now because of how many magic damage threats are coming out from NIP. That's something he can go for later, but a Baron attempt out of NIP. They're going to be careful here.
And he will be going to disengage. Alex is coming in for this one. Will pump the zone as the rest of the team. The cavalry has arrived. They get the first kill onto Livik, looking to do the same for Kubon, but we've seen before he's not the ideal target. We'll get a great Dragon Rage and a culling to dissuade him from going any further.
Yeah, just the support of Livik has fallen, and they're not going to have enough HP or courage to go ahead and try and pick up the Baron afterwards. So they have managed to stymie that Baron attempt just for now.
Sooner or later, you've got to say to yourself, how far do we carry on chasing Mundo? Is it even worth it? Yeah. When we have 4 of us, yes, he's an annoyance. He's like a mosquito hovering around, but is he actually dealing the damage that we need to deal with? And at the moment, you just can't take him down. He has that kind of spike in tankiness. We talk about the spikes in damage, but you don't talk about the spikes in tankiness, really, typically from these champions. But Kickers took a ton of damage from Freeze as he found him. Alex Itch receives a briefcase and a conference call from Coupon.
Very nice. But regardless, it is difficult, and I agree with what you're saying, as Dragon's being started, so we'll just switch over to this and continue the point afterwards. Pickus needs to try and steal this one away. He's been death sentenced though, and also on top of that, the shockwave comes in, lands on both Voidal and also Power of Evil, who at the back line is being focused down. That's going to be shut down. Couple kills going in for either side. Going to be re-engaging in. Power of Evil's now getting smacked from a couple players, and it's Orianna that picks up the double kill at the end.
Unbelievable fight. That was fantastic play actually by Living. Not sure if you caught it, but he literally just sat in front of Freeze and started laughing just with the shield raised, and he just couldn't deal any damage to anyone else. 2 for 1 in that trade, and they pick up the Dragon. A great win for Reason Gaming.
And the thing is, Reason Gaming are behind in the gold, but they just reached a really important spike in that tankiness. As you were saying, not many people talk about the spikes in tankiness, but the core items of their champions had started to be picked up. The dual the resistance out of Spirit Visage on Mundo alongside the Warmike, we've already mentioned, is so tanky, and Kubon can just sit in front of everything. And even though Freeze is 6-1, Freeze does not have the damage yet to actually deal with Kubon. And right now, Reason are able to control the pace of these fights, even while being significantly far behind. They're starting to really even up that gold gap.
And what I was going to say before Dragon started and all the action ensued is that I was going to agree with what you said before, as Living actually could be falling down courtesy of Alex Hitch. There is a Lee Sin en route though, so Pickus is in good position, or is he? Living's trying to run away. Oh, he just about gets picked off from Alex. And now they are going to back on off. They can afford to ignore Mundo. There is a lot of heal for the AD carrier Freeze in the form of both Thresh, Lulu, Kassadin, hell, even Ku can do it as well with Agony's Embrace. So they don't need to bother with him. He's not going to stick to the AD carry.
It's true, but they have 2 immovable objects in the moment. They have Kubon, they have Livik, and they're just going to stand in front of the AD carry and say, well, you can shoot us all day, but it's not going to cause any holes in our armor. But Alexis gets thrown into the fight, gets knocked back straight into the Zhonya's, also with that defensive ultimate from Power of Evil. The Wild Grove keeps him safe, and Kickers fell in that engagement.
He did. Nice on Zhonya's as he got kicked. Also, like this golden icon flew across the screen onto Wraith, but Baron has been started once again from NIP. There is no jungler, there is no smite, and there is soon to be no Baron as well. And it's going to be NIP's Ku takes it down. And that's the Baron buff on top of all the other problems that Reason Gaming need to fend off. Speaking of which, they are about to get engaged upon, although they will just about escape.
Yeah, they did unleash the hounds onto Reason Gaming, but they couldn't quite get in range to start chewing. Voidal and Freeze are there in the mid lane, but no minions in sight or even on the horizon, so they didn't have to back off. 17-6 though, that's a daunting scoreline in terms of kills, but when you look at the CS actually hold that fort because Glacial Fissure has come through and they met Korku.
Oh, he gets away with a door passage and now re-engaged. Lidic is at the back line. That's 2 kills in quick succession. Take Fun is about to fall on top of everything else. 3 different killers this time around, jumping back in on towards Kickis. He's going to get a nice Q combo, trying to jump back on towards his tower. He does not die, but Kubon eats another death sentence and will fall.
Oh, the ninjas in pajamas, ignoring Kubon. We suggested it a little bit here to the crowd. They knew exactly what they had to do. Kubon is not a problem if Freeze and Co are standing right in between each other. So, NIP will take a turret. They'll now take an inhibitor. 20 seconds left on the longer respawn timer, so this won't be the game, but NIP have re-established their lead.
That was still a gigantic win coming in from Ninjas in Pajamas and a very decisive victory. The Baron buff coming through, all those extra effective stats on top of the 10,000 gold lead, and they must be filling their pockets with gold at the moment. We're going to take another look at that last team fight.
Yeah, let's take a quick look at that fight around the Baron area as we do hop to a replay, I believe.
Apparently not. So back onto the game.
Get trolled.
Back to live. It's okay.
That was a fast replay.
Is this it?
Nope. No, this is live.
Not. That is a replay of live game, mate.
I was going to say, somehow I have control over the replay. This is amazing, but it's okay. Nonetheless, we're live. There's enough action happening right now that we don't have to jump back to that replay. But Ninjas in Pyjamas, 21 kills to 6 currently in this game.
Indeed. So, Ninjas in Pyjamas have gone back to base, picked up a plethora of new items to add to their belts, and Kirkus, Libic, and everyone else is just donating over the blue buff. So, at least they are going to at least stay in this game, and they haven't taken so much in this game, that being from NIP, that they can take away everything that Reason Gaming own. They do have some reboot room just for a couple seconds before the storm carries on.
Well, on going for that blue buff, they do forfeit their top tower, which is far from ideal, but to be fair, they probably couldn't have defended it anyway in the first place. It's a very scary, very difficult side now that NIP possess to lock down and deal with. Who is just chilling in mid, pushing the lane, while the super minions are going to wreak havoc, and in doing so, may draw a couple players away for enough time that they can try and pick up this inhibitor. Wow, Alex went, that was a ballsy wrist walk right there.
It was, but he's confident on him because he is so strong. We've seen before, he's also got the flash as well. He can get out of dodge if he needs to, and even if they do engage on him, that might be the engage that Ninjas in Pyjamas won. They just want to get into a fight. Reason Gaming are trying to stall.
Yeah, because if they engage on him, Zhonya's, as soon as he comes out of Zhonya's wild growth, and before you know it, hey, there's Twitch, and he's just decimated the whole team. Let's scrape ourselves off the floor. So that is another tower falling down. 6 seconds on Dragon, although right now NIP do not care. They're after towers.
Ubon going 1 versus 2, but that is the strength of Mundo at the moment. The one sort of saving grace, despite being 0 and 4, is that he can just tank for days, and they will progress onto Alex Itch, and well, there was a lantern there, but chooses instead to take his own way out, which will be using the Rift Walk. Do get Kickers moving again onto the minions, but NIP are just circling, they're orbiting the base, trying to find the cracks. And so far, they haven't really found it.
And this was very reminiscent to when NIP actually got beat by Faculty. A similar kind of formation, a similar kind of style of play. And it's effective, so it makes a lot of sense. This is what you can afford to do when you've got a Lulu just constantly harassing, constantly poking, has pretty nice wave clear as well from the Gilgax.
Here just kind of banging on the windows, looking into the base, and Power of Evil does take a cleaver to the back of the head. However, NIP are there to clean up onto Kubon. They take him down, the tankiest member, and now Kickers is out of position. In fact, Power of Evil will just go one-on-one. You will not be wall jumping over the wall, sir. And now Libic goes for the engage as well. Alex Itch is there and almost gets a great shockwave, but it's just not enough damage at this stage. There's the Zhonya's Hourglass. Maybe they'll be able to take him down. Maybe they'll no, because Libic will be dropping, and the rest of the team just evaporate. That's the ace, ladies and gentlemen. 2 for 5, and this is surely the first game going to Ninjas in Pyjamas. They take down the first Nexus turret, the second is sure to follow, and what a spectacular showing from Ninjas in Pyjamas in the very first game. And they have been trolled, but Inhibitor has respawned. And will they actually pick this up? They should do. They have the damage, they have the manpower, they still have the minions there. This is more prolonged than I think Ninjas in Pyjamas, all of us were expecting. But now they move on to the Nexus, and they should be taking it down. Mundo is there. They'll get it. They'll get it. Come on, you can do it. Yes, they can. They get the win. There's the first game.
NIP take game number 1 here against Reason, as this is a best of 3 grand final, so still another potential 2 games to go here, but that was a good back and forth game, and that was exactly what we expected here for game 1 of the DreamHack Summer.
Yeah, the 2 strongest teams coming in here, going head to head, and these guys did see each other in Group A, but they only saw each other once, and Ninjas in Pyjamas took away the win. So they have something to prove.